So here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. So the whole entire thing is designed to isolate their victim, to make their victim paranoid, and to kill their victim. They're murderers. Now, my order wasn't for what I thought I was buying. I thought it was kind of expensive for those items, but they might be, I don't know, these were not exactly what I wanted. They're rather big, like wide but short. Hopefully, nothing I can do. No wonder they're a little bit more than I thought. That's the way it is when they're cursing you. So if I were to get this all massaged and relaxed, it still might be too much bone on the nerve for there to be any type of success. Because it just, it's been so long. I mean, we'll see. I just don't, like now it's relaxing. Now I have to go look at something real quick also. My neck's making noise too. I don't know. They weren't supposed to be around me, and that's the bottom line. I was tortured when also by this thing. And again, they could have given me drugs where I tighten up like that. Like, destroy my back. I never seen anything tighten as quick as I saw that tighten. 100%. But I mean, they're stressing you out. They're not even supposed to be around me. There's no reason to be there. They even use what do they call that? Remember those letters? They even use those national security letters to do me. Meanwhile, the real criminals are just dancing around laughing. Like I said, 4 years ago, it'd have been easier to handle this thing if they were kept in check. That's the big problem. In fact, 10 years ago, they started blocking my massage therapy. Actually, they blocked it before that, but they tell you push through, and then, we let them up when we think they push, and it proves their innocence. I pushed, and then they canceled my membership and said I was dangerous. And then the guy that did it would stalk me at Sprouts every time I went over there. It's a black guy. They said he was the owner. I don't know if he was the owner. Could be part of the role play. Correct. They know I didn't commit any crimes. In fact, I'm sure that was part of we'll let him just retire and that's it. Because there was an unofficial conversation that I had with Jim Spicer, and he's like, so they're going to let you retire. And he's passed the message. But they didn't. I had to go to a senator to get it going. And then they say, well, he makes enough money. Well, yeah, retiring at 40 and still having some of my health left. Yeah, that was enough money. And my hope was that if when I got to California, the hope was maybe I can find some sort of gig here that makes real money, and I can give back my whole retirement because I really don't want it. And that's how turned off I was with government. I left it behind. So them saying, no, we have to do something to him because of this, that, and the other thing is bullshit. I wasn't saying nothing, didn't want nothing to do with it, just wanted to live the yoga love life. Well, I tried the church kept selling out. Initially, when I was with the government, I was so moved by God. I was just like, I think it was before a lot of the awakening, just a little bit. I was like, I would live my life like that preacher, and maybe not as just a preacher, but dedicating the church. I mean, there's a lot of people in churches, and no, I never went near a kid. I'm the guy that looks at somebody going, "You touching somebody else's kid?" Well, I just hugging the kid. Yeah, you hugging the kid, right? You hugging a kid in church. Right. I'm sorry I didn't hug my kids more than I did, but I mean, I was tortured by these people. Right. They destroyed our family. When I tried to get back with her, they played a game. Now, it could have been the man, too, that she was with. But it could have been just as easy one of the crooked marshals or FBI people or cops that were in it. Well, God, this is the point. Like, why me? God knows me. God knows my heart. God knows I love God. God knows I love creation. The hardest thing in the world for me to be is an angel of vengeance. But why am I it? Why am I the angel of vengeance, this big angel? Why am I that? Because I love God and I love creation. That's why. Because I won't abuse it. I hate that part of this. Thank you much. But God tried it my way for many years and said, it doesn't work, son. In fact, I'm going to send Samael. That's who's probably crashing the planes. Now, I know you have loved ones and people you care about on the planes, but again, this is the part that Christians don't get, that God has to rule where God has to rule. And again, they may be innocent. I don't know if they're deep state. So the reality is this. They may have been cursed by the deep state. But at a certain point, God will take his hand off of things. Well, because people that aren't deep state have taken this attitude where it doesn't matter that it's happening. Like, I'm just going to worry about my life. No, my curses probably didn't take down the planes, even though the planes go down. Unless they're deep state, I don't know. But if you understand if they're deep state, my description of deep state, you understand what it's doing, right? They're devils. So again, of course, it doesn't matter at that point. Yeah, I guess at that point, and again, my curse isn't going to do it. God has to move it. Like, I'm not cursing you direct. It goes up to God, and if God applies it, then God applies it. Right? If God doesn't want to apply it, then God doesn't want to apply it. No, I've made parameters before I ever really cursed anybody in earnest. I did it once. I cursed fear. I feared fear. The first thing, because this is what happened. I wake up. God wakes me up. God says, through my mouth, I speak. I can oracle God. So God says through my mouth. I see Satan's trying to say, well, it doesn't seem like it's all real, does it? No, it's not all real. But most of it is. It's just a long story on how this all unfolds and how Satan tries to discredit it because it doesn't always work out. But again, Paul told us that the gifts would fail. So they are failing, but they still work to a certain degree when they work. So I'm waking up, and God says, don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. Just listen to me. And he says, as far as you coming home, you're coming home like, 10 different ways. Don't worry about it. And I didn't even know 10 different ways existed back then. Now, Jesus had like at least 5, but you don't see them until God shows them to you. Because Jesus will say something. I know Jesus says, only those who believe in me, and that is whatever it is. But Jesus says a bunch of other stuff. If you're spiritually blind, then you can't believe in Jesus, right? But you're not. Your sins are not counted against you either. So how many people is that? That's a ton of people. 100%. So again, a lot of these trans people are spiritually blind. So isn't that weird? Well, Jesus saved them with the other thing. Because their sin won't be held against them. Won't be held against them. So again, that's what I'm telling you. Be careful what you say and what you do. Thank you, sir. So, God, when I get to, I guess it was New Jersey, God tells me about healing, and he says, look, they're cursing all the ethnic people. Well, actually, no, I didn't. I guess I wasn't, was it to that yet? I can't remember when that kicked in. I think it was afterwards. Yeah, because I was still Christian at that point. I was still only Christian. Again, eventually God said, just say you're with God. Well, because I couldn't be part of Christianity because it went dirty, it went deep state. But I believe in, the work of Jesus. I say it that way. So yeah, God did say it. No, because at first, so I don't know what was that. I knew about healing. I was in Philadelphia. I think it was one day, or maybe it was before. No, it was before that. But the hand gesture type of healing, when I was in Philly one day, and the statue doesn't even exist anymore. I don't know where they moved it, but it has like a healing hand. And I walk up to it and I look at it, and my hand just starts moving on its own, like God indwelled my hand. And he was showing me, the healing gestures, or Rabbi Jesus also, Rabbi Yeshua ben David, big spiritual being, could do that also. Right. So divine transmission of healing, right, to the hand gestures and all that. So they said to me, the foot people are calling. Oh, to remind me of my appointment. I don't even know if I'm going to make it. It's going to snow tomorrow. So God says to me, all the ethnic people, because I was trying to figure out in my mind the timing of everything. Oh, actually, that was afterwards. Okay, yeah, that was afterwards, because I was in Philadelphia. I guess it was in Philadelphia. Well, the thing is, at what point did I still start healing the ethnic people? I can't remember that one. I think it was later. No, because I went to before I got to. I was still in New York, so I already knew that. Yeah, I already knew that. So God said, all the ethnic people are being cursed. And if we don't heal them, they're going to commit acts of terror. And he said, even the terror investigators are cursing the ethnic people. People that are from India, people that are from Arabic people, and even Jewish people were being cursed because they had dark skin, some of them. So I started driving to New York and a couple other places. I think I went down to Virginia a little bit. And I was in some places, Edison, New Jersey. I was going to these places and healing them. Thank you, Lawrence. That's a real thank you from someone. Maybe God, I don't know. Maybe all of you, I don't know. And I started healing all these people. And again, the goal was to find a woman if I could. So in between, I'm chatting with like Persian women, and I could be chatting with the CIA for all I know. All right. But I'm trying, So I'm trying to get married. People from India, people from Persia, right? Or just that descent here in the United States. Not too many. Right? So one time I get up to New York. Actually, they started drugging me. That's what I honestly believe they started drugging me. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe they were doing. Only because at a certain point I picked up a phone, and as soon as I picked up the phone in my mother's apartment, and she would give the key to other people, so who knows, the neighbor was not trustable. He was a Democratic Party operative. He ran for mayor once or something. So, if they approached him, right, or he may have even approached someone else, who knows. Right, because cops were dirty, definitely. So the cops, could have approached him to be an informant, and he could have said, "Well, I got this key here," and then the informant payment may have increased. They called their buddies in the FBI. Well, we'll give you an extra $5,000 for it, just for about a half a day, and then we'll be back. So I went up to New York, and I think that's when they drugged me. I think I started getting drugged in New York. Right. And then I went back down to my mother's place to try to get home. Right. And I was drugged. And I got inside, and there was a message on there, and I picked it up. And as soon as I grabbed the phone, I was like out there, and then my mother's like yelling me at the phone call, "Where are you?" And my brain went crazy. Right. So I went back to my vehicle, and if I just would have stayed in that house, it would have been fine, but I couldn't. For whatever. Again, these people have been operating me for a long time. So again, they're trying to discredit what I already know about them. And of course, they killed Jonathan Luna. And of course they were doing me at the same time, so they felt like they couldn't let me be, which was wrong, right? Thank you, Larry. Because I didn't want anything to do with it. I just wanted to walk off and go live my life. I still didn't know what happened to John Luna when I left, right? I showed no signs of really wanting to be anything, part of anything they were. I was still cordial and nice to them. Right? So I got this reckless driving thing in Omaha because I'm trying to get away from whatever it is. I'm not paranoid. It's actually happening. I get them paranoid. I mean, because that's what they say, get the paranoid. Just trying to get my tongue there. They're getting nervous because they're trying to get in my tongue. That when you misspeak, it's a curse. Trying to clear the air around it. Finish it. So I get to Omaha. That happened. So when I get back, I said to God, "What happened? What happened?" God said, "They cursed you." Well, I guess I didn't know about curse. See, that's why it doesn't make sense, because this is where I learned about the curses. I guess I didn't know anything about cursing. I just knew about healing. I don't think I knew about. I definitely didn't know about cursing, because this is where God tells me about cursing. I had already been to New York, so I kind of got my timetable a little messed up there. But I didn't know about cursing. I just knew we need to heal people. I mean, ethnic people. Maybe I didn't know it. Ethnic people. I think maybe I ended up there. Maybe it's just divine guidance that I ended up at a few ethnic places, like eating Indian food and that kind of thing. So God says that you were cursed. I said, "Curse? What's that mean?" And then God explained the curses. So over time, during the same time period, I guess maybe even the same day. The question, I don't know if the question, but the inference came up that I should curse you. And I said, well, the scripture has cursing in it. Paul curses. Jesus curses people. So I said, well, I think it was like a 24-hour study kind of thing. Right. So I said to God, no, parts of this are whack, but parts of this is just, when God gets through, God erases all doubt. It's a very dyslexic kind of thing, because the gifts fail, the communication on the planet fails. Even I think after Jesus left, the communication started failing, but there's ups and downs. So I need some trail mix here. So no, I don't think it, like, if I put my shoes on and my back softens, then it's not my neck, right? Because every once in a while it comes up, well, is it a disc in your neck? Well, if I put my shoes on and my back softens, it's probably not a disc in my neck, but it probably does mess with the disc in the neck. So most likely, I've had some sort of disc trouble for a good 20 years. Or maybe not disc trouble, but the problem with the feet and the back tightening and all that. Right? And part of this is I'm learning my connection to Walmart and Sam Walton. So I would stop in Walmarts and I'd heal them while I was in them. So you'll see me in a lot of Walmarts back then. Then I would always look to see what like Sam Walton would always have me look for Bibles in Walmart, like an inspection. And maybe he was trying to give me credit, right? Because I needed to get my credit up because they were killing me. So when God spoke about curses, and I saw it in the scriptures, I said, well, what I'll do is I'll fear fear. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. So I said, well, I'll fear fear. For some reason, that came up. So I'm like, fear, fear. And then finally, I'm like, well, I don't like this. I'm like, God, could I just heal things? I like that better. And God's like, well, okay. I'm like, yeah. But then years later, God said, it's on. We have to start cursing us. You have to start cursing those things I tell you to curse. And son, I'd like to do it for about 10 years. It's not going to work. Actually, longer than 10 years ago. I used to pray for people. Not as good as Monica Maurice. And that's the weird part that people don't understand. Like Monica Maurice is a homeless person. And, she's used drugs. She's been a prostitute. She finds Jesus later in life. In like a camp setting in Arizona for homeless people. And she starts like witnessing to people, like very boldly. And she prays for people like no one else. But again, it's Satan, because I tried to explain it to her, because she's like, why is my life like this? I'm with God, and because her life is crashing again. Well, what happened is Satan took over the planet again. I said, look, read the scriptures. Don't listen to these church people that you talk to. I said, they don't read the scriptures. Remember, Jesus was crucified. He was a poor man. And he died what? 34? You're like already 35, or 45. You're on your way, or 40, I guess you would. But I couldn't. I tried keeping her up from a distance, but I couldn't. I tried to get her home. She didn't take advantage of that too well. No, I'm sure I'm being killed by Satan because I'm a good person. I mean, if you're rich, I got doubts that you're a good person. Well, possibly. Again, you could have good people around you, and they kept you up in life. Right. I had people that just failed everywhere. But then again, I'm obviously a bigger target with the work I do. Now, right now, there's somebody focusing on me. So I like it when I yell and scream. Now, I got to talk about Elon here in a second. So Elon's ruining it for everyone, for us. I see the plan, and I see it developing, and I understand who you're cutting in government now. And a lot of deep state people will lose their job. But you can't talk shit about the judges. You have to drop that. Maybe later, but I don't know. Because there's going to be so much too many court battles around this that I wouldn't even entertain it. Anyway. So Elon is picking up as being this big target. It said earlier that it's still saying something's going to happen. That like something's going to take Elon out of the picture. I don't know what that means for sure. I don't know. No, I spoke about the Doge mission years ago. That's what's so weird. It's like they're all living my life. Right. And I surmised what they would find. Again, you have to be careful on how you're doing it. Right. And that makes the difference of being public service and self-service. Right. I mean, they're still going to make the argument in court sometime about his contracts. And, you know, Your Honor, how is rocketeering necessary? Of course, Elon's already made a case for that, but again, I don't know if the court will buy into it. Thank you, Larry. Now, downsizing the government sounds good. One of the keys is, I think Elon knows, right? He's got an inkling to it, and also the other guy is, but see, that's again expense, so I'm not sure. But the key is you can replace people with automated process if your automated process is sufficient. No, they made me very sick years ago. I just was able to kind of like band-aid it for a few years, but I've been in a lot of pain on and off. Again, as soon as I scheduled a cyst to be removed, I got hit with something. And I started tightening it up real bad. Because that's the only reason. See, that's how I know. I mean, my memory is kind of weird around that time period. So I got no idea what they're doing. Right. But I do know that helps me remember that I felt really good, so I made the appointment. I'm thinking, I feel pretty good. I'm going to go get this thing done. And the thing is, they panicked me around these type of things, so it's very difficult for me to break through at times. Again, it's not just a natural mental illness. The government programmed it into me every day of my life for the last 30 years when they could. And it includes private sector criminal cronies. Thank you, Larry. So again, I should have at least 70%. Hopefully Mr. Moran can just force them to it and they just kick with it. Right. Because I can't I don't have much more medical for them. But obviously, I deserve it. I actually obviously have it. Right. The biggest problem is in 2013, there was stuff missing from the file. And I'm sure they stole it. I'm sure the deep state stole it. I mean, throughout my life, that kind of shit happens. But I never knew, like when I was in the military, I brought this up before. I never knew what the lieutenants were talking about. When something weird happened to me, and it's obviously the deep state. So like when I went to BLDC, something weird happened, went some other stuff somewhere, and the lieutenants, oh yeah, when I was supposed to get a medal in Desert Storm, they apologized. I didn't get one because somebody, the deep state said no. But the weirdest part is, so they don't give me a medal, right? I mean, I got the regular medals, but they wouldn't give me I was supposed to get a Bronze Star. So they don't give me a Bronze Star, right? But I write up, maybe the deep state did this on purpose, who knows? But I write up, two, I guess it was two soldiers. I wrote Phillips. What was that other kid's name? I can't remember. Phillips, the one that saved our lives. I can't remember the other kid's name. But I write them up, right? And I mean, I was a great writer. And I write them up so good. Guess what? So if you go to back when we were in Persian Gulf, and the people that got in our battalion that got the Bronze Stars, that write-up, a large chunk of it, is my write-up about my two soldiers. Our battalion put it in the write-up. Yet they wouldn't give me one. Yeah, I wrote up two soldiers for Bronze Stars, and they got them. And then they used my write-up for the battalion write-up, or at least a good portion of it. The part that you notice is the part I wrote. I forget what words I use. You know how you write those things up. intestinal fortitude and all that stuff. No, this should never have happened to me. Not at all. Should have had a good life. Should have had a good wife. Well, when you're injured like I am at age 60, there's not much there, right? And they isolated me. They work on isolation every day. Yeah, so I got these bins, and I'm thinking I'm just going to throw everything on top of the counters in the bin, throw whatever else away, and then I'm going to pull this shelving unit down and take everything out of it. And then put in those bins, just because I got to call somebody in to clean, and if I don't get my stuff in the bins, then I'm not going to get anywhere. So as far as protection of Elon, I can't tell you what it is because I don't know what it is, but it keeps saying, and it could just be a bullshit thing, right? But it's saying like Elon will be taken out of the way pretty soon or something like that, or at a certain point or something like that. I don't know if it's a law, if it's going to be legal. Again, you're calling everything lawfare, but you all engage in the same stuff. Correct. No, I was in a lot of pain today. But question is, let me check the mold. Mold's still pretty high, I guess. Oh, it's going down though. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's going down. I guess it could be that. I don't look at dust and dander starting to pick up. But dust and dander isn't as high as the mold. That's what it says, at least. If that's it, that could be what's causing this in me. But again, why do I have that susceptibility? Probably Persian Gulf War syndrome. So again, 70%. It should have been in 2013, probably. Correct. And then my life would have been way different because I had money to get where I needed to get to. Right. Yeah, somebody took stuff out of the folder. I remember because I sat right in front of a county guy. I didn't prepare it myself, but I sat in front of the county guy, county rep in Naples, and Florida, and he said, this, that, this, that, this, that. And I told him, look, I think I'm going to get better. I believe I will heal, but, I still need this thing done. Right. Thank you, Larry. And when I got to Albuquerque, New Mexico, they only had I said, where's the Persian Gulf War syndrome part? Because it's perfect timing. Because they knew it. I'd been in and out of hospitals and MRIs and everything for about I don't even know, but about a month and a half, I guess. But I mean, I went to all sorts of people, neurologists. Again, the neurologist said, I don't know what it is. And that's a sign of Persian Gulf syndrome, We don't know what it is. All right. Oh my God. But again, he had me go up on one leg and said, well, it's not Parkinson's or something like that. Right. There's no way definitely not after the Naples thing, but most likely after the Indianapolis episode, there shouldn't have been anybody around me doing anything but protecting me. That's the weird part. These people that are doing this in my life are supposed to be protecting me because I'm a former government employee and I still do work. Right. first I wrote the senators and congressmen, the two senators and congressmen in Florida, and first it was the two senators, and give them suggestions, but that's their crazy mind, like, oh, he's going to get something. Right. And then I wrote the agencies direct for a while, right? And then they just, at a certain point, I'm like, this is bullshit. You're getting me. I'm going to be getting in trouble because you're not going to share what I'm sharing with you, and you're going to say I'm a criminal. Right. So that's when I said, that's it. I'm not going to contact your agencies directly. I'll go on social media. I'm actually investigating one of those entities from before. It looks like it could be dirty with the algorithm. Still be dirty, should I say. Well, Elon looks like he cleaned up his algorithm. I don't know. He just might not use it on me. Again, it was Twitter's algorithm. Right. Thank you, Larry. But it looks like the other place. And I'm trying to, when I'm on there, I'm trying to figure everything out again. Everything I figured out on Elon's thing plus, because these have the age thing. Right. And I'm trying to see, there's a lot with that. Some of it's what the deep state might do around that. Again, I'm not going to get into details. I already detected something. Right. Thank you. Again, it's kind of a, I can't get into it. I'll get into it in a bit. Now, if I say it, then they won't do it. So I'm going to give it a chance. It could be happenstance, too. It could be something just happening. But it could be them. Well, a lot of times when you find somebody, it's the deep state putting them in. Now, this is really weird because I'm breaking out on my skin on my leg, and I don't know what that is, unless it's from the salt. It could be from the salt baths. No, that's what I'm saying is, if we calm down the hype, and again, you ran for office on that, that's fine. But if we calm down the hype, there'll be less focus. So as somebody, Elon Musk, he's bringing some focus on himself, but I don't see too much. I mean, you see pushback, and people want to kill him and all that, I'm sure. But as far as there's the physical, then there's the metaphysical. So what are they receiving in their mind? What are they feeling? Now, you see, I'm not saying, yeah, right, as much right now, right? That's metaphysics. But it could be direct energy, too. Again, I'm dealing with pain, so some of that could also be me. No, it's a combination. I've already told you, if you're psychic a certain way, like a real psychic, you're going to have problems with mental illness. It's just a fact of life because you're an open channel. Now, if people don't attack you, like if I had lived somewhere like in a quiet place, but see, the problem is any place I go, the deep state comes in and then pays people. So I could live in a town of 500 and they'd find about 25 people to hire. And they'd curse me, so it would happen there too. Nah, I just wanted to marry somebody and just have a good life. The deep state kept getting me, and then I also have the disabilities with it. So again, it's a combination. Right. I wouldn't have been. When I was to martial arts, I was able to heal myself pretty far. Right. If I could have stayed in yoga and the yin yoga and all that, my body would have been really soft, and right, my way would have been easy. But then they started doing stuff, and it was clear that LAPD was going to be deep state for them at a certain point. Again, you never know who anybody is on the planet. I am that thing. It's kind of weird, I know, but what am I supposed to say? I'm not it. Now they're still blocking. They're blocking these bins from being filled. So the person that does this can see the changes in my life that they're able to alter me. Right. So again, that's why they're not allowed. They should not be allowed to stalk people, whether government or not, because they can tell that they're changing the person. Yeah, I understand surveillance, but what these people are doing is stalking. So I'm not sure. This is not making sense to me at this point. Unless, again, if it's direct, it could be direct energy for all I know. And the mold could be a bullshit reading, right, to cover for the direct energy. But when the mold started dropping, from what I'm looking here, that's when I started getting a little better. And I said to myself, I'm getting better. I wonder if the mold's dropping. But it didn't look like it was going to drop because it was still going to stay up, when I looked at the prediction, the forecast. But I'm stuck here because I don't have money. I can't break my lease now. I mean, I'd have like 10,000 in debt if I tried to get out of here. Right. I can't do that. But I do need to get out of here. I mean, it's a simple open and shut. There's no doubt that I have Persian Gulf syndrome. Right. The last time they should have approved it. I mean, the idea is they say you got to get an attorney, and then again, it's a kickback scheme, I think. Well, my friend Monica, she's definitely disabled, and again, she's one of those kids that was sexualized and sold in the marketplace, and now she's an older woman. So I try to tell you that. I said, don't always be down on people that are disabled. Look at me, I'm a hero, and I've helped the country for free, like no one else. But again, I should have been paid something. That's how the system's supposed to work. But, she's a disabled woman that, a lot of people don't like. She's homeless. But she's one of those kids that we worry about. She's one of those kids that we want to take care of. Now she's like 45, 50 years old. She's a mess, but, it comes from that. And, of course, I was one of those kids. And I just told her, I said, you went out for the Lord. I said, people in their mind receive don't heal that person. Don't heal that person. Don't pray for that person. I said, you don't stop, Monica. You go out on that street and every single cursed person you're healing. You're praying for them. You're telling them about Jesus. I said, Satan hates you. That's what's going on in your life. Don't listen to them churches because they're living a different life. They're not out there doing what you're doing. I don't even think they pray anywhere but in church. She'll start talking to somebody, find out something about them, and then that's it. Oh, there she goes. Start praying. Thank you, Larry. But people don't like her. They don't know who she is. They don't know what she's done to piss off Satan. But they would say, God's not blessing her. Because she's in churches where people live in spoon-fed lives and they don't have a clue. They weren't molested and sexualized and prostituted when they were young and eventually became a prostitute because that's all they know. I mean, you go back to her history, you'll see that she stabbed somebody here, stabbed somebody there, maybe. I don't know if she stabbed. I know she had a knife in one of the things. Right. But eventually, she, finds this. She finds Jesus in a camp in Arizona for homeless people, and that was it for her. I mean, Jesus with me. He said, I only lasted 3 years. She lasted like 6. Maybe a little bit longer, but about 6 years, I guess. I think what happened is she had a Jeep and her Jeep broke down or something, somewhere in there. And that had to do with something, whether it was getting to Santa Fe or getting to the Christian camp. But I was harassed in Santa Fe, and so was she. But we're healing and blessing their people. Right. Right. Well, Joe's looks like it's moving fine. Again, the idea is if I'm not saying again, there's a way to present something. So if you need to present it so everybody knows what you're doing and what it looks like. But a little bit more decorum. And the judges. I mean, the judges really haven't done anything wrong. I mean, yeah, I found that kind of weird where he can stop the work by anybody. Again, the judge isn't stopping your work. He's stopping work by people that aren't cleared. And if that stops your work, then that's that. But that's not the goal of. I don't think it could be, but it's probably not the goal. Right. That's why I kept telling you, just get some cleared people and have them around you. Right. So you get a couple of security officers. So you can go into court and say, look, these 2 security officers were watching our work. It could be MAGA. I'm sure you can find some MAGA cleared security officers. Right. Thank you, Larry. But it's going to be hard to prove to the court that 19-year-old should have that access. I mean, it takes people a lifetime to gain, sometimes to get the credibility to get that kind of access. Like, not a lifetime, but a good portion of our life. Well, but everybody, what you're doing is you're saying, but we have to do this. Yeah, but do it. Somebody else can do it. That kid doesn't have to do it. But that's okay. I mean, that's who you want, but I think you're going to have a hard time convincing the court. Now, I was doing fine, and then everything tightened up most of the day. And then when it lets go, I'm all sore. Yeah, that wasn't quite actually, I thought these were like half as wide, but a little bit taller. I just wish I had looked at the dimensions. Nothing I can really do. I don't know if I could return it. I bought it on the delivery thing. That's the curse. But then again, they might actually work. I got all this clothes right here. I could just throw it on in. I doubt I'm going to be going to the podiatrist tomorrow. I had an appointment, and I can't leave here because I can't do it tomorrow because the guy's going to come and exterminate, and I'm not going to let him in because I have to clean this place up. Sorry. Well, my idea is that I'm just going to take as much as I can, throw it in that bin. I just should not have been treated like this. They're trying to sexualize me and everything. Blocking me from women my age and bringing it was progressively younger people in around me. And then eventually, they would actually try to get me hyper-focused. And again, they're torturing me and isolating me. Right? So they try to get me hyper-focused on a woman, maybe in her 30s or 40s. And then they would bring in a child. Like if you would take that child and age enhance, they would, it's kind of close. I mean, it's just a lot of manipulation of psychology. I'm lucky to make it. That's why I don't, like, you all judge people that, I don't approve of it again, but you all judge the person, the people that engage in sex crimes. I don't know myself how many of them have been operated like me, because I got God, and you can see I'm tortured. My body's all disabled because I fought them. If they weren't in my life and I have to fight them, this wouldn't have happened. But they're trying to push me to sex crime or some other violent crime. So I don't know, I don't expect people to go to the point of being disabled over, or even being able to do it. So I don't know what psychology was used in their life, especially when I see a Christian or a cop, because I was psychologically operated and tortured in both those places, with the hopes that I would become a sex offender or a violent criminal. So again, when I see that, I don't know. And like, I sympathize with B.E. Bex, or whatever her name is, the Antifa operative, because she's trying to prove a point. And I've told the Christians, back off of judging people. And then thus you won't be judged. Again, I hate this job. I just wanted to get married. You should have just let me get married. I wouldn't have to wake up as a prophet. I just wanted to be a quiet guy, married, learning scripture, having God reveal the scriptures to me. There was a joyous day when I got out of the government and God was there. I mean, God was there in the spirit, but God was there in the spirit body at a certain point. And it was an amazing thing. It was a happy day for me. But they make it as sad as they could make it. All I needed was a wife and a church, and I never would even mention their name ever again. And probably didn't until recently. But enough is enough, all of you. I remember sitting there. God shows it to me. Because why? Because God was sitting with me. And I remember sitting there. And I don't sit much now because it's very painful. But I remember sitting there in a meeting at the preacher's house. I said he's going to provide a slide presentation on something, and also speak out on his moving from the private sector, corporate world into preaching. And I sat there, and as Christians say, the Lord laid it upon my heart. I said, there it is. Time to move from the Marshal Service. That was the only plan in the beginning there. I mean, get a wife. The first thing was to get a wife, get that part of life settled. Right. Again, even though my wife had cheated on me in life, even though it was horrible being married to her, she would beat me and do other things to me, I still gave her the option of returning, like us getting back together again. Then somebody calls her and says they're my gay lover, and they're mad at her. Now, I don't know if that was the guy she was seeing, or the deep state, or both. Thank you, Larry. And then she said no, of course. And then as soon as I had that thing in Oklahoma, the reckless driving where I was drugged, Rick Henry contacted my wife, and she became emboldened. And she no longer, she told the children, don't talk to me. I mean, it's all set up. Oh, Rick Henry and Karen Shelton had a lot to do with my family and I parting ways. And of course, Chief Quick was part of it, and probably Hughes. Otherwise, we'd have just been, a divorced family and, living whatever life we could. No, they were again. I know Bob was drugged, okay, or at least operated to have his brain switch, right? Because I kind of had the same thing going on, right? There's probably better choices, but I couldn't get to them, and they're willing also. They're devils. Like they're ruining my house dirty directly, and I'm having trouble cleaning it. It has nothing to do with anything else. Like if I go to a different place now, I'll probably be easier until they get in there and do it again. The longer you stay in a place, the harder it is to clean when they're doing this to you. But if you take them out, then I won't have that problem. Like I'm trying to break through it over here, trying to get this cleaned over here. There was never a reason to do this to me. Like I was really like anytime I never interacted with somebody's kid. But if I feel bad like the kids that are living in hotels or something like that. Like the mother used to work at this one hotel in Oklahoma City, and I think she was using drugs and stuff. But I knew the kid didn't have a real life, and they had I think an apartment, or they eventually got an apartment. I can't remember how it worked. Right. No, they were living in a hotel in a extended stay. I couldn't remember that, but right. And the mother was there, and I'd help the mother whenever I could. Like she'd lock herself out of her car, I'd be there trying to help her get in her car, right, with tools. Right. So I would get ice cream because I knew the kid wasn't getting ice cream, but I'd give it to the mother. I'd say, here, for you and your kid. Thank you, Mary. Now I'm careful. I wasn't like giving somebody's kid ice cream. Like I had a phone. I mean, it was worth something, I guess. It was a nice phone, and the kid said something about that his phone broke, so now he can't do his classes, and he can't go on the internet. I've got to ask him something. He's always. I said, "Don't you have anything to do other than stalk me?" What, you work for the FBI? Work for the FBI, kid? You're stalking me. Of course, I had to throw up, but I didn't say that. Who put you up to this? FBI? But I did perceive that something was wrong with him. Like I think he had been gay with a man before. It just none of it made sense to me. But again, I'm keeping it where it needed to be. I did operate it a little bit to see what it was, to see if anybody was around it. And again, if you're living in a hotel as a kid, that can happen. His real father at that point was in jail for something, went in prison for something. Right? And his mother had just met somebody, and I met them because his mother was in like inclement weather in Tyler, Texas, underneath some small SUV working on it. And I'm like, "Do you need some help down there?" She said, "No, I think I got it." I said, "Need any tools?" "I got some tools." She says, "No, I think," but she was like a mechanic or something. She was really good. She was like, not professional, but I think she had worked as a mechanic or something, or did stuff on the side. So she was good. Right. But then I was down there trying to help her, and then the kid came down. And eventually I met the husband. It was just real sad that they had to get this thing, back together. And the kid would always tell me stuff about his father and his life a little bit. And then he started talking bad about the FBI. I'm like, I hate having that influence on a kid. I don't know if it was my influence. I thought, what, are you undercover trying to trap me? I said something to him. What do you mean, the FBI? I think I told him about the deep state. I can't remember. But he told me he couldn't do his homework and all that stuff. So I had like I think it was like an LG, like a nice, one of the final LGs or something, or one of the upper levels LGs. So I didn't give it to him. I said, look, I can't give you the phone. I got to give it to your parents or your mother. I said, I got to give the phone to your mother. I can't give it to you. She has to receive it. So I said, I just got to talk to your mother to see if it's okay. And we did that. And no, I'd have dated that woman if it was real. She's a little heavy set, but I don't care. She seemed like a really nice person. Right. I think they were from Indiana, maybe. I can't remember. I think the father was in jail, and like it was really weird for his life. But to me, if they put him up to be a bait kid, then it would make sense. And again, I don't know if he was or not. Right. But to me, it looked like he may have had gay relations with a man. Right. Because again, when they're looking for the father figure and all that kind of thing, right, sometimes they use that on the kid. Right. He just seemed too present around me. Right. And he was like, had this look, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, no, he tried. It's almost like he tried to look sexy or something. I'm like, what? I'm like, what's going on here? The FBI put you up to that? No, he just had this certain look, and I'm like, what's he doing? Just to me, it seemed like that. I mean, I wasn't turned on or anything, but I was worried about him. I guess maybe I just seeing into it or something a little too much, right? But maybe not. Well, because he's, the kids that live in those places, I always worry about them. Right. But maybe it was just God showing me that there was something there. Like you couldn't see it, but God was revealing that there was something there. Right. And it could actually be if they willed it up, that he could present that from the will, right? I've spoke on that before. That if you use kids for bait, you got to be careful because people could will that up, right, and then cause the child to be involved in some sexuality, right? Thank you, Larry. But when COVID hit, I just left out of there. Thank you, Larry. Kind of wish I didn't at this point. I don't think the room was all that good anyway. What I wish I had done actually is been able to get a vehicle and an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment. I guess I was just worried about moving all my stuff in time, and I just didn't feel like going through the process. But again, they probably willed me down. I remember driving down the road looking up apartments, and I was getting ready to go to this one apartment over there. Yeah, if I wish I'd have fixed my Mini Cooper up enough to keep it through COVID. Right. I mean, if they were just held at bay, I don't even know how they could let them do this to me. I have no idea. I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, every place I lived, there were these people and the cops that were doing this shit. And they're trying. What it does is give you an illusion of having a real life, like life is unfolding somehow. Wow, this is pretty bad. I'm trying to get this thing done. And I can't even get this thing laid out on the ground. We're going to get that done now, I guess. At least get it on the ground. No, it's a really interesting bin. It's just not what I thought I was buying. But I guess if you buy from Instacart, something you can do, I guess. one of the things that's worrying me is my sciatica just started much more, and then maybe it's because my back was. I hope I didn't ruin the disc some more by my back being so tight earlier, or maybe it's still tight. It's just, when you catch it, like when I was, what hell was I? Well, actually, I went to Santa Fe when I was 48. So I catch it when I'm 48 and I'm healthy all over again, and they just won't let it be. Correct. I mean, these are federal agents and everything. They're not supposed to be doing that kind of thing. I mean, they all make a deal. Somebody says, get that MFR, and they do it, Got no idea what allows them to do any of it. I mean, at this point, it probably would have made sense to do the surgery. But, it was an inconvenience for everybody. And, of course, the doctor, he thought he was doing what was right because the other guy had such issue. But, when you're talking about catastrophic failure, that's probably few and far between. Like, you know what Satan's doing in my head? Satan's going, no, you want to put that here, you want to put that here. Hold me up from the major mission here. I'm going to throw this away. These microphones didn't really work. They were just too tinny. This one at least sounds a little bassy. Well, the idea is just to get everything off of the countertop. And other places, if I keep looking at each item, I'll never get it done. So I don't think I'm going to make it to the appointment tomorrow either. It's probably going to start snowing anyway. But I definitely have extra congestion and everything. No, what happens is the will of others is taking over my life because God's will doesn't reign supreme, and these people are allowed to stalk me. You see, if they weren't allowed to stalk me, then they wouldn't have that capability. And that's why they stalk people. They're devils. The only way I'm going to be able to take my ARC, I think, is if I get my money from the VA. And then I can get some sort of trailer. Because they're on mode arrears. Back to 2000, I think 18 or 19. I think 18. Is it 18? It's just obvious that I should be paid. There isn't a better guy for government in the history of the world. But I do probably have that. Right. There's no other explanation that I can find. And that's the point. When you can't find the explanation, that's one of the diagnosis things. If you can't find an explanation. Right. Well, the reality is, I don't know, I think it's like a metaphysical unlocking too. I knew I needed that money, at least a few $100s. Like in the near future, it was going to screw up my life. I just felt that. And it did. I was too hesitant in purchasing things or staying somewhere and ended up somewhere else. I'm 60 years old. This is insane what you all did to my life. I'm on my way to 61. It's insane what you did to my life, all of you. No, I was a really healthy guy. In fact, 4 years ago, I could have sought some sort of treatment. But you stayed on me, a disabled person. For 4 years. I mean, that all has an effect. And they're working my mind over so I can't see that there may have been better options. Meanwhile, the real criminals who aren't disabled, living the life of Riley, they don't have a worry in the world. It'd probably been better if I went to Manhattan when I saw. So again, they're whittling me down. I'm looking at the thing. Well, should I go to Manhattan, live in this brand new building, which would be healthy for me? I'm like, no, it's probably more dangerous there, and I guess it wasn't. I mean, it'd been the same at least at the most, but I've been in a new healthy building. Know how to deal with these shitty neighbors. Right. And I probably would have gotten in real quick. Wouldn't have been waiting around trying to fight somebody to get in. Now, they may have made phone calls. Oh, there's none available now. Oh, there was one yesterday, but none today. Yeah, my nerve on my, I have no idea why this is happening. Because I was able to get it well, and then when it got real tight, now it's not well. No, the whole time I was here, my back's been screwed up. I mean, it was just compacted, so I had, some, semblance of less pain. But again, it's only because probably the pain was cut off from being felt. I mean, the cops around here killed a disabled guy for 2 years. Wonder how much money they got. I mean, you all chose to be it. I did. I told you to stop. I mean, when I tell you to stop, you just stop. I mean, what the hell's wrong with all your heads? Satan got you so into it that you lost your minds. I mean, at this point, I never really asked for much in my life from anybody, especially the government. Right. You just couldn't let me live a peaceful poor man's life. I mean, a peaceful poor man's life usually includes a wife who's also poor. I mean, they just get so into just screwing the person over. Oh, because their spy master, knows how to make that life more amenable to committing a crime. Plus, for some reason, they wanted me gay. Somebody paid them to make me gay or something. I mean, that's what your cops are actually doing. Are your cops gay? Is that what it is? I'll put up some incense in front of the ark. I've been a little negative. This ark's supposed to be somewhere else already. I can't get it there. Ooh. Thank you, Mary. And again, I blame my brother, but I don't blame my brother because they're operating his mind. The same way they're operating my mind. They did the same thing to my mother. I think we're powerful Jews, more powerful than my mother or my brother realize. See, as soon as I say that, the spiritual question is waiting. What should we do about the gossip? Well, I don't know. Maybe you're going to fight with Hamas again. If they go underground, I guess it'll be the same thing again. I mean, I don't know. Only because the world's unfair, I would want the Palestinians to go somewhere else. Because I know the world's unfair. I feel for their homeland and all that. But my theme is there's no land worth dying for if you can find some other land. Well, because your home is in heaven, or if they would call it paradise in paradise. Your home is not here. I mean, that's pretty much what I got to with God, with all of you. I mean, seriously, you people going to hell. Like Satan's in my head, and Satan may be one of your employees over there in the cop police department, a detective or so, or in the FBI or CIA. But they're trying to get me to like obsess over every little thing that I'm pulling off of this. And again, their will might just be like to screw this up. Nah, it's pretty much a done deal. I'm gonna have to tone it down here as far as what's going on. I'm not gonna finish the fireplace, but again, I'm gonna give that up. I'm not gonna obsess over it. No, I don't see me healing that level with what happened today. I'd be very surprised if anything short of surgery will do anything. And that's something I probably should have did 4 years ago when I had it lined up. But again, I think the answer was to be able to get like this, where I'm actually kind of almost bilateral. No, I've been cramped the whole time. One side was up higher than the other, kind of. It's real. If I could have got like this back then, I could have seen better. Meanwhile, the whole time while I'm trying to do that, you cops are chasing me in Aurora and everywhere else. No, it's a program to make someone mentally ill. There's no doubt. It was designed to do that from the beginning. This is what they do. Bunch of sickos. So they keep saying you had a pretty good life, and they try to bring up memories in my mind, but they're all empty memories, man. Like they can't do that. They actually can't, because there's an illusion that I was actually having a good life or an okay life. The whole time it's just bullshit of them killing me. Boy, I got a lot of stuff I gotta get off here. They're trying. Look, they're cursing me. They're so mad that I'm doing this. That I'm actually cleaning it up. They spent their whole life willing that away, sneaking into the apartment, breaking in, and cursing it dirty. Wackos, every last one of them. Police departments let people break in all they like to harass and torment disabled people. No, they kill people, man. They don't care, man. You try to say, well, they're killing people. Like, yeah, so what? So again, a lot of people are starting to have trouble in government. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I got to it. All right. I'll be back in a second. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.